What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's happening, buddy? Happy Easter Monday. We're back at the swing of things. We had Friday off, and dude, it's one of those days you miss that one day of talking games, and it throws everything off, doesn't it?
It really is weird. I find myself talking to my cat and my brother a little bit too much about the video game industry.
That's awesome. How was the weekend? Did you have a good Easter?
Oh yeah, it wasn't anything special, but it was a nice little relax. And everybody needs just that extra day off sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, I heard there's 3-day weeks happening in some areas now. In our country, at least.
Really? I don't know if I could do that. Dude, how can you not talk about games every day? What am I supposed to do? What do I do then? Scott, but people can talk with us over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. You can join us live there. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Coming up on today's show, Sony looks to the future with new impression-based advertising. CD Projekt Red talks about their future and what's lined up for 2022. 343 Industry gives us a few new details about Halo Infinite's upcoming season for the Lone Wolf. That's multiplayer stuff, Scott. Let's get into that one, dude. That'd be a good topic.
Yeah.
First,
I'm hoping for big results here.
Well, yeah, we'll get there, but I haven't. Yeah, we have a couple concerns, don't we? Let's get into what's happening right now with the future of Sony. Titles may be impression-based advertising. This one's from Colin Malone over at Game Ranch. Sony is filing for a new patent for a new technology. One that relates not to any specific game, but to how gaming media can be used to influence players. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office makes all filed patents, copyrights, and trademarks open as public information. By paying attention to patents filed by video game companies, gamers can get an idea of what new innovations those companies might release in the future. For example, EA has patent technology relating to esports sponsors that might be implemented into future esports matches held by the company themselves, Scott. I don't know about that one, dude. I really question what's going on there with EA, but we'll see. I guess their big FIFA thing is, yeah, well, that's a whole other topic, dude.
They have all that technology in order to better reference credit card information.
Well, exactly, right? Well, Sony has recently filed a patent which is called, quote, advertising impression determination, end quote. This patent was for a technology that would be used to examine how often the player of a game was exposed to an in-game advertisement. Often, dude, there's so many times you're walking around, right, and a big billboard will get exposed, and that'll be like just a bit of a blimp of advertising. And that's just a unique way to pull it in for advertisers and sponsor opportunities. It all helps in the end somewhat, and sometimes, dude, it just feels a little greedy, but we'll see what the future holds here related to advertising in the games. EA has also patent technology for forcing ads on the player during loading screens. Oh man, that was just
at least I'm in the loading screen, but don't keep me confined in that loading screen more than necessary just to show me the McDonald's ads coming on. Ugh.
Yeah, well, the good news is though that it's the loading screens are getting less and less.
Yeah, they're very small opportunity now.
No, absolutely. Sony's patent would measure if the in-game ad was obscured. For example, an in-game billboard partially covered by a tree, or how long the player viewed it. According to the text on the patent, quote, the video game industry is quickly becoming one of the last bastions of captive audience advertising. That is, the player of a video game often offers their undivided attention to the video game environment. Video games, therefore, offer the opportunity for placing ads before a captive and extremely attentive audience, end quote. It talks about how valuable targeted ads and being able to get ad impressions is to the advertising industry. Not to mention was given as to how this technology might be improved to the gaming experience for the player. Dude, let's talk on that.
I have some concerns here.
Okay, well, I want to get right into the last line there. Right? How to improve gaming experiences for the player. Dude, does advertising improve anything for us? No, I don't think it does whatsoever.
No.
What are your thoughts, Scott?
Oh, there's a dark couple that could arise out of this. NFTs being served straight to you in the same gaming atmosphere as being sold.
Right.
I don't like the sounds of that, but
Nope.
that could just be because NFTs are in my head. But I think of ads and I go, what?
I
Do we
heard you and
need
your
more
brother.
ads? No, I'm working on my own pilot project. Don't worry. No, I'm thinking this is an obvious a huge value for advertisers, but does
Yes.
it go too far? Is this how long until I can't go to my own bathroom without seeing advertisements?
Well, it does kind of, waver in what are the opportunities here for advertising and sponsorship opportunities. I think there's a huge potential here, but you don't want it to be overbearing within the world you're playing.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? First, immediately go to Spider-Man, right? You're swinging through the streets, billboard, advertisement. That could work. If you're in the middle of Horizon Forbidden West, Scott, and all of a sudden Coca-Cola comes across,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Not, you know what I mean? Like, not what I want to see.
The only time I'd be excited is if it was Mountain Dew and it's an apocalypse, because that's what I'm really hoping for. If that's the case, I need something to keep me going. But are any of those ad billboards effective? Do you remember any of them? Because I have one that sticks in my head.
Dude, I haven't had any. Nothing really kind of sticks in the back of my mind of going, oh yeah, I remember that ad. I don't remember any ads in the video game whatsoever. I'm there to play the game and get that experience and not worry about an ad. I know there are games I went, oh really? That's there? And I kind of chuckled and moved on, right? Like I didn't stick around and go, ooh, I now need to go get myself a Pepsi or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's a Rockstar in Gears of War. I think maybe Grand Theft Auto has its own brands that they advertise to a hilarious degree.
Yeah,
that's all in-game universe stuff. It's not get Mountain Dew, get Coca-Cola. But there was one real-world crossover, and it may have been the pilot for in-game advertisement in general, and that was, I believe it was the year 2012, elect Obama, and it was in Grand Theft Auto 5, I believe. There's big billboards everywhere. Go vote, Obama, change. And I think it's hard to say if it was effective because, of course, he did win. But
yeah, well, yeah.
I think he had that one in the bag, though.
There are opportunities here, I think, right? Especially if you get into, say, like a battle royale situation, where if you're playing right now, let's say Warzone as an example, and you're going through part of the city, the landscape, and you come across a billboard, there's an opportunity there for some advertising. Fortnite, dude, it would not shock me in the slightest to see any of this come around, right? Like, you know what I mean?
I could see them switching the whole map to Walmart World if they get the right pay.
The thing is, they have the towns and stuff where they can put a sign up for somebody. That would make sense, right? In a battle royale. And the thing is, because they are always evolving, dude, they can flip that ad out from 1 week to the next, to the next, to the next. But if you go into a single player game and all of a sudden you get that experience of an ad, it feels kind of jarring and misplaced. Where I think it has to depend on the type of game and what you're playing at the time, and if it fits that era. Because if you're playing like Demon Souls, dude, like, what are you advertising in that game? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Unless you're advertising therapy. I don't know if any of it makes sense in those games. There is a real world equivalent, though, that I think happened about 100 years ago for hockey. There was once a time where there was no advertisement on the boards around the arenas. And then there was a change and people had a big outcry at first. But nowadays, when's the last time you saw an ad on a hockey board and remembered it? It's just so commonplace.
Yeah, absolutely. It just kind of gets almost forgotten because it's always there, right? Like, how many times have we I've watched a Raptors game and seen the PlayStation logo there. I see it all the time, right? Like, it's always there. There's always some kind of ad going or rolling through or flipping into the next thing. So advertising, very opportunistic to be involved with the video game side, I think is kind of a good thing. But it's a good thing depending on the studio. Like, does Sony really need these advertising spots? I don't know. But if you give a small studio, like, let's say No Man's Sky, because I'm just thinking about their Outlaws DLC that they just dropped for free. The 19th piece of content for free for No Man's Sky. Dude, but if you can somehow figure out how to get a proper advertisement in that game, it helps that studio, right? So there are certain ways to kind of do things, but I think it's on a studio basis and not PlayStation.
I thought of the perfect
side
one
thing. I
for
don't
No
know.
Man's Sky. They have an infinity that you're allowed to explore. What about Pizza Planet? I wish I was wearing the shirt right now, but I'm not. It's over there.
There
But
you go. So that's the future with Sony. Let's see what's up with the future for CD Projekt Red as they talk about their projects for 2022. And dude, the Molasses Flood working on an existing IP. Do you know who a Molasses Flood is? If not, let me tell you, Scott, who they are.
I'm not familiar. No, I've heard the name. But
Man, okay, well, we will get there because that's one of my favorite games for, I would say, last generation.
I feel like we may have talked about Molasses
Oh,
Flood before.
I guarantee you I've talked about them before. This comes from John Carson over at Game Informer. CD Projekt Red held a presentation wrapping up the 2021 fiscal year, boosting new sales totals for The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077 franchise. Included in the slide deck is a full-page summary of what the company is set to work on in 2022, some of which we knew already, but some new information is to be gleaned from it. The first few items in 2022 to-do list are things we already know. Cyberpunk 2077 expansion is in the works and will be in development this year, but it won't see the bright lights of Night City anytime until 2023.
Are they doing multiplayer for that game still, or has that been outright canceled? Because I know it was put on the back burner.
I don't think it's canceled, dude. I really don't think it's canceled. I think it's still something that they're definitely working on. But as of announced on Twitter, on CDPR's Twitter account, and in the same earnings call, also the Witcher series is getting a new entry and a new engine in Unreal Engine 5. Dude, that's gonna be incredible. And
Yeah.
excuse me. And the studio will continue to work on improving Cyberpunk. No surprise there. Not in the slightest, dude. They really want to flip that one around, don't they? I think they made strides, but they want to turn it into a trilogy, I think.
I think so. And they have to really try and recuperate some of the effort they put into that, because it took a huge amount of development time and a lot, like 1,000 hours probably at least.
Oh yeah, at least easily, buddy. CDPR has already announced this week that it will be taking on the development of the new generation upgrade of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, taking collaborator Saber Interactive off the porting job, which is unfortunate to see. Which really, dude, we talked about this last week. Like, how far is this put that upgrade now behind its release date? They haven't officially released anything or announced anything. So how far now are they going to take it in-house? How many problems are arising because of the port, Scott, you think? They ported already to Switch, and that didn't run all that well, but it worked.
Well, it's a little bit concerning when they believe that they can take it all on in addition to all of this other work with Cyberpunk. So
Sure.
The CDPR must be really busy. It indicates there might be some sort of an issue with an outside force handling it. But
Absolutely.
But maybe they're just trying to avoid some of the issue that came up with the Switch, because it is a lot more demanding hardware. Maybe there's a lot more potential for disaster.
No, good point. Yeah, we'll see. Now they're moving. Are they switching? I don't know if they're going to switch the port to Unreal Engine 5, because, man, can you imagine if they did that? Oh, wow. Wow. Now, here's the thing, too. If you haven't
Switch
played...
just blows up.
the Switch just catches on
literally
fire.
Detonates. Yeah.
The Witcher 3 upgrade is free. So keep that in the back of your mind. When this comes around, it's a free port. And it's nice to see that they're taking it in-house to keep working on that and make sure it is the best that it can be, because that's the port I'm waiting for, dude. I went like 25 hours in, and I was like, I got pulled away and was never able to get it back. And now that this is coming, I keep waiting because I want to get back into it.
I'm thinking we should set up something, a very unfair competition where you and we race. Maybe not to the end, but we have to pick a spot and then race to it. Maybe we do a streamathon. I've got lots of ideas.
We could.
I haven't played Witcher 3 yet, and I don't know how that I avoided it for this long. But I just know that it is a glaring empty spot in my head.
Absolutely. Scott, let's get on to what's happening elsewhere in the CDPR world, because what wasn't known is the project the Molasses Flood is working on. And while we don't have a complete picture, things have become a bit clear. According to the earnings call presentation, the newly acquired Boston-based studio behind The Flame and The Flood, one of my most beloved games. Dude, I loved that game. I adored that game. It was incredible. Is tackling a project within one of CD Projekt's existing IPs. We'll report on what the game is. Yeah. So what else are they bringing over now, Scott? Because really, CDPR is known about The Witcher and The Witcher and The Witcher.
That's as far as I knew. And,
right?
Well, unfortunately,
and
now they're tarnished with
Cyberpunk. So I'm definitely. So here's where my head goes to an existing IP. We also know that now CDPR is working on the next Witcher saga. Do they get the Molasses Flood involved in that? Now, if you've played any of the Molasses Flood games in the past, you've got Drake's Hollow, which is this childish, cartoony experience of a survival game, right? It's really lighthearted. But, dude, so is Flame in the Flood, which I absolutely adored. Can they take it and put their own spin on what they've been so well at crafting in the past and bring that over to The Witcher? We saw The Witcher Thornbreaker is one game that Nate and I tried, and I just could not get into it as much as I wanted to. I really couldn't get into that game. Moving forward, is this something they... No, it was like a card based. I'm almost positive it was card based. It's been a while since I played it. It was a card based, turn based Witcher game, dude. It had beautiful art style. I love the art direction. Immediately got pulled right into it, right, because of that. And then it just, Nate and I just couldn't click with it. It was unfortunate because I really wanted to play it, dude. Scott,
I played The Witcher 2 and it was a real good time.
Well, man, that's a whole different game compared to what Molasses Flood's been up to in the past. That's for sure. But yeah, Witcher 2. So The Witcher 1 came out and everybody like, hey, this is cool. Witcher 2 comes out, people are really starting to pay attention. Witcher 3 drops, it's a whole new ball game, dude. Witcher 3, everybody knew what that game was. Everybody except for you played it. And now we're working on another one.
Again, you only need to look to my gamer score to explain that chunk of time.
Absolutely. It's not like you were playing.
Yeah. I've been crushing games for a long time.
Dude, it's one of those, that's the backlog of shame. One of those games, right? That's where you're at. But
it really is.
Let's get into Halo World, dude. It's 343 Industry details Halo Infinite's new season 2 maps. Marcus Stewart over at Game Informer. Halo Infinite's second season, Lone Wolves, is slated to begin on May 3rd and brings a host of new content to the game. 343 Industries released a blog post detailing one of the most exciting additions in the form of 2 new maps, Catalyst and Breaker. Catalyst is a sleek, though abandoned, Forerunner base that's being reclaimed by excuse me, choking, Scott. I'm dying, buddy. I'm pulling an 8. I need some water. Yo, that's a
reclaimed
shout out
by
right
nature. Was the end of that sentence, by the way.
Thank you. Expect plenty of foliage to cover its monolithic surfaces. And 343 Industry describes Catalyst as a vertical symmetrical arena featuring suspended catwalks and a light bridge connecting the maps to halves. Dude, how does this make you excited to see what's next for the Halo multiplayer side of things?
Oh, I am. I was just speaking with somebody. It could have been Nate even. We were playing Halo and I thought, well, there's all of this content is good, but pushing a battle pass instead of new maps just seems like a big, open, glaring mistake. And there's still no Blood Gulch in Halo Infinite. So there's tons of room. You could just pull levels out of Halo 1 and 2 and fill up the game, and that would be a great idea. So absolutely. I'm actually really excited to see some sort of difference in the matchmaking. But I saw the still images of Catalyst and Breaker posted with the announcement, and I thought it was a joke about Crossfire. Because Crossfire Catalyst is one of the campaigns, and I thought, what is going on here?
Really? That's funny. Well, Breaker is a abandoned shipyard landing with debris situated on a dusty desert planet. Dude, it sounds cool. Will you jump back in, Scott, is the biggest thing.
Oh, yes. In the last week, I've been playing quite a bit of Halo, actually. So I'm back on. I've been hesitant, but I'm back in.
There you go. What people aren't in, though, Scott, is Square Enix Babylon's Fall had less than 10 concurrent players last week. What happened?
I can't
there?
believe they didn't just turn the server off.
It comes from Truman.
I don't believe they should.
A gamer. But at what point do you not just say, I guess this didn't work, right? Square Enix live service game Babylon's Fall is the latest in a long line of other titles in the genre, with it being developed by Platinum Games. The developer is most famous for the adrenaline-fueled action games, with standout examples being Bayonetta series, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and Nier Automata. Nier Automata is notably collaborated between Square Enix and Platinum Games, and Babylon's Fall has a similar hack and slash combat system to Automata, while also being an action RPG. There is even a Babylon's Fall and Nier Automata collaboration being held for players to participate in for a limited time. However, Scott, the game is seeing very little fanfare and has tepid reception critically and commercially, with many reviewers being on the low end of the spectrum. While some of these reviews praised its combat, they also lambasted the game's structure.
You don't see that one often.
No, not at all. Threw me right off. Structure and progression system. I've been thrown off all morning, apparently. That day off just wrecked me. This is an event.
How many coffees have you had?
Yesterday, I had way too many. Today, apparently, I needed to catch up. This is evident with Babylon's Fall rough launch on PC, with very few players playing in the game concurrently. With this unfavorable reception, it's no surprise that few players who were playing the game have left as time went on. Dude, games as a service, Scott, we talk about it all the time. It is something hard to keep that game and that community alive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm always struggling to find situations where it's worked out really well. Good examples. And I honestly, you can't think of any. Other than maybe Fortnite. You could call it Fortnite for saying the maps change and they have a lot of inclusion, but I don't know if it's a great business model.
Well, the Division 2 seems to be carrying on strong. They have been a little silent lately, but they've come back around and the community's pumped. Like, the community's there. But it's the thing with games of service.
Destiny's important. Destiny's very popular, but just ask Nate.
Well, the thing is, it feels like an ebb and flow, right? You just got to get the right flow of the game. You got to get a high peak and then be ready to taper right off. And then how do you get that peak back up again? That's the biggest thing you see, because everybody rushes in, they play the latest content, and then they disappear. And then you're like,
no,
now what do I do?
The newest trend is to spike that player base back up. Just release co-op a year later. I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. I like to see who's making the next games of service, this live service model, and what is your game plan moving forward? How do you anticipate keeping your community alive and thriving? Because we talk about it here, and the fact that it takes 5-6 years to make a game, and then if you're doing a live service game, Scott, it's not like once you're done. You now need to keep it going for another 2 years. Like, you have a roadmap for 2-3 years down the road. How does that look? We talk about Hood, Outlaws, and Legends. That's a multiplayer game only, dude. And that community, thanks to being on PlayStation Plus, has actually shot back up a little bit, because I have no problems finding a match at all now, which is really, really exciting. Crossplay is a huge thing.
10 concurrent players.
Absolutely, there is. So it's kind of one of those things. What do you do? And when did they take that information? At the lowest peak of the day? So there's a lot of questions.
I think I had read it was 8 a.m, which seems a little bit unfair. Because if you took 3 a.m, I think you'd have a better number.
I'm definitely curious to see. Like, the game looked good, not my style, but it had, I thought, promise. And dude, it's from Platinum Games.
Yeah, they really should have been able to stick the landing on that. And coming off of Nier Automata, potato, that game is so solid.
Exactly. So it's just the highs and the lows of the industry, and every developer seems to have some kind of bit of a struggle. Like, I don't think anybody anticipated
none of them
Cyberpunk to be
CD Projekt Red.
Exactly. Yeah, they can flop, right? Come off the high of The Witcher 3. I think anybody has the opportunity now to not feel safe, I guess, is kind of where I'm looking. Scott, can you believe it? Dude, show's almost done already. I have one little bit left to say, though, Scott. Our review of Winter Ember is live right now. Help us out. Head over to twitch.tv. No, head over to ITG Reviews on YouTube, and then you can check out our review, as well as InsideTheGame.ca. But Scott, it's been a show, buddy. That has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as ITG Reviews over on YouTube. But if you can't join us live, it is up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.